Stop telling everyone your problems, not because you're weak, but because the people you're talking to, most of them aren't listening to help. They're listening to compare, to judge, to use it against you later. Some of them smile while you're speaking, but behind that smile, they're silently gathering ammunition. And the worst part, you gave it to them, willingly. Let me ask you this. Have you ever opened up to someone, thinking they cared, only to feel emptier after the conversation ended? Have you ever watched your pain become their gossip, your tears become their entertainment? If so, this message is for you. Because in this world of oversharing, fake support, and quiet envy, the most powerful move you can make is to say nothing, to protect your energy like it's sacred, to guard your peace like it's treasure, and to stop giving people front row seats to a struggle they only came to watch, not help. As Napoleon Hill once said, control your environment and you will control your mind. And part of your environment is who hears your truth. So today we break the habit of bleeding in public. We stop handing our power to people who only pretend to care. We go inward. We go silent. We go strong. Because the world doesn't need your explanation. It needs your evolution. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? Don't tell people your problems. We live in a world that glorifies openness, prêt vulnérabilité, and tells you to talk it out. And while there's value in expressing yourself, there's a critical truth that few people want to admit. Most people are not emotionally equipped to carry your struggle. Let's be brutally honest for a second. Some people you share with, they don't care, they're just nosy. Others, they secretly feel better about themselves when they hear you're struggling. It reassures them that they're not alone in their misery. They may act supportive, but deep down, your pain gives them a sense of superiority. And then there are those who pretend to listen, just long enough to store your secrets like weapons, ready to use the moment you outgrow them or stand too tall. This isn't paranoia. This is discernment. The illusion of support, one of the greatest illusions in life, is the belief that everyone who listens to you also loves you. But listening doesn't always mean empathy. Some people only listen because they're curious. Others, because they need more material for their next round of gossip. You may have thought, if I just tell someone how I feel, I'll feel better. But that's not always the case. Sometimes, talking about your struggle with the wrong person drains you further. Not because you shared, but because they didn't know how to hold it. They don't have the depth. They don't have the maturity. They don't have the strength to hold space for something they've never healed in themselves. The hidden cost of oversharing. Every time you speak your struggle into the wrong space, a few things happen. One, you lose energy. You transfer emotional weight into a container that might leak or worse, poison you in return. Two, you create expectation. Now someone else thinks they're entitled to comment on your process, to judge your progress, to weigh in on things they don't even understand. Three, you delay your healing by externalizing your pain too soon. You risk skipping the most important step, sitting with it, learning from it, and mastering it in silence. Not all pain is meant to be broadcast. Some of it is meant to transform you, not entertain them. What Napoleon Hill would say. Napoleon Hill emphasized over and over again, tell the world what you intend to do. But first, show it. In other words, don't speak your struggle before it's been refined. Don't publicize your process until it has become power. When you talk about your pain prematurely, you're like a blacksmith showing off unfinished iron. It's not ready yet, and in the wrong hands. It can be twisted broken, or mocked. Hill knew that your environment shapes your thinking, and that includes the people you allow into your inner world. Surround yourself with the wrong voices, and they will dilute your clarity, magnify your doubts, and sabotage your momentum, often without even realizing it. Build your inner world first. So, what's the alternative? Start by asking this question before opening up. Is this person strong enough to hold this part of me? Most times, the answer is no. And that's not a tragedy. That's wisdom. You weren't meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to understand yourself first. Your pain, your growth, and your confusion, they all belong to you first. Process it privately, write it out, pray through it, work it out in the gym, meditate on it. And if you ever choose to share it, let it be with someone who has earned the right to hear it. Power is preserved through privacy. When you protect your inner world, something amazing happens. You stop giving your power away for free. You stop needing validation. You stop bleeding in front of people who only clap for your wounds. Instead, you begin to cultivate something rare: self-respect, self-containment, self-mastery. Because the truth is this: your struggle is sacred. It deserves a safe space, not a spotlight. You don't have to explain your breakdown. Just show them the comeback. Let your energy speak before your words ever do. And remember, they don't need to know what you're going through. They'll know when they see who you become. Let's be real, most people don't want to help you. They want to watch you. They don't want to see you win. They want to see you struggle, so they can feel better about staying where they are. Every time you overshare your pain with the wrong person, it becomes fuel for their self-esteem, not their compassion, not their wisdom, not their support, just entertainment. And the worst part, they may never say a word. They'll just nod, pretend to care, then walk away, smiling on the outside, but secretly relieved that you're the one falling apart, not them. Tell me, everything isn't always love. We live in a culture that confuses attention with love and curiosity with care. Someone might say, "You can always talk to me." But what they really mean is, "Tell me your secret so I can feel closer, smarter." Or more powerful, they want front row seats to your breakdown, but they're not willing to help build your breakthrough. And when you leave, you feel exposed, emotionally naked, drained, because deep down, your soul knows that person didn't hold space for me. They just took space from me. Why the brain seeks attention, but the soul rejects it. Here's the paradox. Your brain, in moments of pain, craves relief. It looks for someone, anyone to understand. So you share, you open up, you pour out, but your soul knows something deeper. Not everyone deserves access to your raw emotions. Not every moment of struggle should be publicized, and when your soul feels unsafe, it reacts. You start to feel shame, regret, emotional fatigue, not because you shared, but because you shared in the wrong direction. Oversharing is often just emotional impulse pretending to be vulnerability. But real healing required discernment, timing, and privacy. The danger of energy vampires. Some people feed on your chaos. They're not evil. They're just unhealed. And seeing you break gives them a moment of control, superiority, or distraction from their own mess. They'll smile, nod, even offer words like, "I'm here for you." But behind closed doors, they're thinking, "At least I'm not as bad as them." Did you hear what she said to me? Wow, he's really falling apart. Your pain became their small talk. Your truth became their tea. This is how spiritual energy is drained in modern life, not through direct conflict, but through subtle exposure. You give them access, they give you judgment. What Napoleon Hill would warn you about? Napoleon Hill taught that our thoughts are magnetic, that we attract energy based on our dominant mental state. But what happens when we share our pain with people who are vibrating on a low frequency of envy, fear, or drama? Our energy gets distorted, misused, or worse, amplifies negativity around us. Hill would say, guard your mind. Guard your associations. What enters your environment enters your outcome. Oversharing is not just a communication problem. It's an energy mismanagement problem. And when you give emotional access to people who haven't earned it, you pollute your progress. The alternative, keep your storm sacred. Not everything broken needs to be discussed. Some things just need to be healed in silence. Some storms were designed to shape your soul, not to become someone else's entertainment. The next time you're tempted to vent to someone, ask yourself, are they wise or just willing? Are they grounded or just available? Are they a vault or just a window? Because once you speak it, you can't take it back. And if you speak it to the wrong person, it might haunt you longer than the pain itself. Bottom line, you don't owe everyone a look inside your struggle. Your pain is not a performance. Your process is not public property. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Privacy isn't fear, it's power. The more you grow, the more selective you must become. Because at the highest level of healing, you stop explaining and start evolving. There's a hidden trap in the way we process pain and ambition. We feel something intense, a failure, a betrayal, it's a breakthrough, and we rush to speak it. We want relief. We want connection. We want to make sense of it by putting it into words. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Speaking too soon can sabotage everything you're building internally. Not every thought is ready for air. Not every pain is ready for an audience. Not every dream is ready for display. There's a power in keeping things inside until they're fully cooked, but most people pull them out of the oven half-baked, then wonder why they fall apart when exposed. Premature sharing disrupts inner processing. Think of your inner world like a seed. It needs darkness, warmth, and silence to grow. But when you expose that seed too early by speaking your struggle, your plan, or your emotion, you interrupt the process. You bring outside air, outside judgment, outside interpretation into something that was still forming inside of you. That's when confusion sets in. That's when you start questioning your instincts. That's when someone's opinion becomes louder than your own intuition. You lose the sacred silence that was helping you clarify your next step. The brain mistakes talking for doing. Neuroscience backs this up. When you talk about a goal, your brain releases dopamine, the same reward chemical it releases when you actually take action. So guess what happens? You feel good, satisfied, relieved, but the danger is you trick your brain into thinking you've made progress when all you've done is talk. This is why so many people talk about what they'll do, share their plans with the world, announce their healing, broadcast their intentions, and never actually follow through, because the emotional release of talking gave them a false sense of accomplishment, and so the urgency disappeared. When others react, you retreat. There's another danger to speaking too soon. People start reacting, giving you advice you didn't ask for, projecting their fears onto your situation, comparing it to their own journey. Suddenly, your personal process becomes a public debate, and you begin to doubt, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I'm making it too big of a deal. Their energy becomes louder than your intention. Their doubt becomes your hesitation. And just like that, your momentum stalls. Napoleon Hill on the power of silence. Napoleon Hill once said, "Tell the world what you intend to do. But first, show it." Why? Because intention is fragile, especially in its early stages. If you speak it before you've built it, you invite interference energetically, emotionally, mentally. Hill understood something few people grasp. Your subconscious mind doesn't respond to noise, it responds to clarity, repetition, and faith. And the moment you start broadcasting your thoughts too early, you dilute that clarity. You confuse your own mental blueprint. You start building based on opinions instead of convictions. Hold it until it's ready. You don't plant a seed and dig it up every day to check its progress. You let it grow in the dark. You trust the process. You water it with action, not words. The same goes for healing, for goals, for new beginnings. If you speak it before it's strong, you risk breaking it. Let your comeback build in silence. Let your vision sharpen before you share it. Let your healing root deep before you name it. Because what's forming inside you is not for entertainment. It's for elevation, the gift of delayed expression. This doesn't mean you should suppress everything. It means you discern the timing. Speak when you're clear. Speak when you're ready. Speak when the words come from strength, not desperation. Until then, protect the silence. It's where your power matures. Bottom line, just because you feel it doesn't mean you have to say it. Just because it happened doesn't mean it's ready to be shared. Silence is not a void, it's a vault. It's where real transformation happens. And the next time you're tempted to talk it out too early, remember, words can create clarity, but they can also destroy momentum. Protect your process. Let your results do the talking. Napoleon Hill didn't just teach people how to get rich. He taught them how to become powerful from within. And one of the most overlooked truths in his philosophy is this: silence is one of the most powerful weapons of success. In a world full of noise, where everyone is posting, talking, venting, and oversharing, Hill advised something radical. Hold your plans close. Move in silence. Let your results speak louder than your voice. Because real power, it's never loud. The master key, controlled attention. One of Hill's most famous principles in Think and Grow Rich is controlled attention. That means focusing your energy on a definite purpose without distraction, without diffusion, without emotional leakage. And nothing leaks energy faster than explaining yourself to the wrong people. When you constantly tell others what you're doing, what you're going through, what you're planning, you open yourself up to opinions, doubts, envy, and energy that scatters your focus. Hill knew this. That's why he often warned, tell no one of your plans, not until the results are in your hands. Why? Because energy follows focus. And when your focus is split between doing the work and talking about the work, the results slow down. The subconscious mind needs silence. Hill also taught that the subconscious mind is shaped by repetition and belief, not noise and external validation. When you speak your ideas too soon, you invite others' fears, limitations, and logic to interfere with the message you're planting deep within. Suddenly, Your belief starts to tremble. Your clarity becomes cloudy. Your action becomes hesitant. You begin building for others, not from your inner conviction. Silence, on the other hand, allows the subconscious mind to lock onto an idea without interference. It gives your mental blueprint time to set, stabilize, and strengthen. That's the difference between wishful thinking and unstoppable belief. Why silence builds inner certainty. There's another layer Hill understood well. The more you talk about your struggle, the more you reinforce it, the more you repeat your pain, the more your identity attaches to it. Silence isn't just about privacy. It's about protection of your identity, your faith, your emotional alignment. It gives you space to heal inwardly before acting outwardly, to become before you explain, to clarify before you speak. Because when you move silently, you give yourself the greatest gift of all, room to evolve without interruption. The law of self-containment. Napoleon Hill spoke often of the law of cosmic habit force, the idea that repeated thoughts become automatic patterns, but that law only works when your environment supports it. When you speak too soon to the wrong person, you risk installing habits of doubt, apology, or compromise. That's why Hill believed in self-containment. A wise man never discusses his personal affairs or plans with anyone who is not in complete sympathy with his aims. Why? Because people don't just offer advice, they project their own limitations onto you. And if you're not grounded in silence, their fear becomes your hesitation. Let your silence become your edge. Think about the most powerful people in any field. They don't announce every step. They don't explain every move. They let the world wonder what they're doing until the results arrive. Undeniable and unshakable. That's not arrogance. That's strategy in silence. You're underestimated. In silence. You're protected. In silence. You're building unshakable certainty. This doesn't mean isolation. It means selective expression. It means knowing when to speak and when to stay focused on the mission. Bottom line, Napoleon Hill didn't just teach success, he taught sovereignty, and sovereignty means you don't owe anyone your progress report. You don't dilute your energy explaining your evolution. You don't need the world to believe in you until they can't ignore what you've done. Silence is not the absence of power. It's the preservation of it. So the next time you feel the urge to share your plan, your pain, your path, pause. Ask yourself, is this for connection or is this for validation? If it's validation, wait. If it's clarity, speak with purpose. But never forget Hill's wisdom. Tell the world what you intend to do after you've done it. Let's make something clear. Your dreams, your healing, on your growth, they are sacred. Not everyone should be allowed in. Not everyone is qualified to walk through the doors of your mind and soul. And yet, we give people VIP access to our inner world without screening them, without asking, have they earned the right to know this part of me? Are they equipped to hold this information with care? Will they uplift it or use it against me? Most of the time, the answer is no. But we share anyway out of habit, loneliness, or the false belief that vulnerability equals closeness. That's not connection. That's emotional exposure without discernment. You are not a public space. Think about this. You don't let strangers walk into your house and go through your bedroom drawers. So why let them walk into your life and rummage through your soul? Your inner world is not a park. It's a temple. And temples require reverence. You don't hand out keys to just anyone. You don't open the vault just because someone smiled. But in the age of constant sharing, we're taught to treat ourselves like a story for public consumption. And in doing so, we forget the power of being private. They smile, but not everyone is for you. One of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn is this. Some people want to be close to you, but they don't want what's best for you. They're drawn to your light, but not your success. They want your honesty, but only so they can feel superior. They listen to your struggles, but not out of love, out of curiosity or quiet comparison. These are the people who say, "You can talk to me about anything," then later use your words as evidence to doubt you, judge you, or control you. They don't belong in your sacred circle. They belong outside your energetic gate. Emotional access is a privilege, not a right. You don't owe anyone your full story. Not your co-workers, not your classmates, not your family, not even your oldest friends. Because just knowing you does not mean they're safe with your truth. Access to your inner world is a privilege, one that must be earned through consistency, integrity, and demonstrated loyalty. Too many people mistake friendliness for trustworthiness. But trust is not built on time, it's built on alignment. Are they aligned with your vision? Do they root for your growth? Or are they silently threatened by it? If someone hasn't shown they can handle your ambition, your vulnerability, your transformation, they don't get a front row seat. Napoleon Hill, choose your inner circle like your future depends on it. Napoleon Hill stressed the importance of a mastermind group, a select few people who uplift, inspire, and amplify your vision. He knew your environment doesn't just influence you, it defines you. And part of that environment is who you allow into your inner world. Hill warned against idle talkers, negative thinkers, and doubters. He understood that one wrong voice, one insecure friend, one critical cousin can derail a dream in its infancy. That's why privacy is power. It protects you from weak energy that can dissolve strong intention. You are not rude for setting boundaries. You are wise. Solitude does not mean isolation. Now, here's something important. Choosing to protect your energy doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means you become discerning. You still love. You still connect. You still show up with warmth and presence, but you no longer bleed in front of people who haven't earned the right to see your wounds. You no longer explain your growth to people who refuse to grow themselves. You move with quiet strength. You speak when it matters. You share with the worthy, not the available. Bottom line, your inner world is not open to the public. It is not for mass consumption. It is not up for discussion with people who haven't earned the right to sit at your table. Privacy is not weakness, it's wisdom. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. And your peace, your clarity, your energy, they are too expensive to give away for free. From this point forward, make a decision. Only give access to those who protect your light, not dim it, because not everyone deserves your story, and you deserve your peace. If someone gave you $1,000 every morning, would you hand it to people who waste it? Would you give it to people who drain you, mock you, or misuse your trust? Of course not. But here's the thing, every day you wake up with a limited amount of energy, and most people spend it more carelessly than they spend their money. We don't lose energy because of how much we do. We lose energy because of who we give it to, what we think about, and where we place our emotional attention. Energy is not infinite. No matter how strong or ambitious you are, your energy is finite. You only get so many clear thoughts in a day, so many meaningful conversations, so many emotionally charged moments, and every time you argue with someone who doesn't want peace, over. Explain yourself to people who won't understand. Share your wounds with people who can't help you heal. You're spending energy you won't get back. It's like pouring water into sand. It disappears, and you're left dry. Every conversation has a cost. Here's a radical mindset shift. Every conversation is a transaction. Some leave you richer in clarity, peace, motivation. Others leave you broke, confused, tired, disconnected. And yet, most people talk as if words are free, as if attention is endless, as if their mental bandwidth can be rented out to anyone with a question, a complaint, or a curiosity. But if your dream is worth anything, if your peace matters, you can't afford that anymore. You must treat your attention like currency and protect your energy like treasure. How energy leaks through oversharing. Oversharing is one of the fastest ways to deplete your inner power. Here's why. When you share raw, unresolved emotions too early, you open a loop in your brain. That loop stays active long after the conversation ends. You replay what they said. You wonder what they're thinking. You second-guess yourself. You just paid interest on energy you already lost. Now you're not only tired, you're distracted, disoriented, and distant from your true self. This is why protecting your privacy isn't just emotional, it's neurological. Napoleon Hill, where focus goes, energy flows. Napoleon Hill taught this timeless truth. Concentration of effort and definiteness of purpose are essential for success. But concentration can't happen when your energy is scattered across too many people, platforms, and pointless conversations. He warned that divided attention leads to divided results. You don't get clarity from chaos. You get it from controlled input, intentional associations, and mental discipline. So if you want to rise above average, you must stop giving premium energy to low vibration situations. Not everything deserves a reaction. You don't have to respond to every message. You don't have to defend every decision. You don't have to explain your healing, because every time you react to someone who doesn't value your path, you reinforce the illusion that they're entitled to your energy. They're not. And you don't owe it. You owe your energy to your purpose, to your healing, to the people who feed your soul, not drain it. Silence isn't passive. It's a power move. Protect your mental wallet. Start thinking of your mind as a wallet. Would you let a stranger steal from it? Would you give money to someone who always wastes it? Would you hand over your savings to someone who mocks your goals? No. So why do you let people steal your peace, your time, your attention? Every thought you dwell on, every conversation you replay, every person you try to impress or justify yourself to, that's a withdrawal. Protect your mental wallet like your life depends on it, because it does. Bottom line, you were never meant to give your power away so easily. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Spend it where it multiplies. Save it when it's not honored. Invest it in silence, in purpose, and in people who protect your light from now on. Treat every interaction like a transaction, because at the end of each day, you'll realize it wasn't the hours that drained you. It was the energy you gave to what didn't deserve it. At first, silence feels awkward. It feels unfamiliar. It feels like you're missing out. You want to explain. You want to defend. You want to tell your side of the story, but then something powerful happens. You resist the urge to speak. You hold your truth quietly. You let others talk while you observe, and suddenly you're no longer at the mercy of their energy. From reactivity to sovereignty. Most people live in a constant state of reactivity. They talk back, clap back, overshare, overreact. They think silence means weakness, but in reality, silence is the gateway to mastery. When you stay silent, you stop handing people your emotional buttons. You stop giving the world access to your nervous system. You stop being a puppet pulled by everyone else's opinions. You begin to respond instead of react. You start choosing what deserves your attention, your energy, your voice, and that is when control returns. The mind becomes sharper in silence. Noise dulls clarity. Oversharing clouds vision. But silence sharpens everything. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You reconnect with your instincts. You distinguish between what's urgent and what's noise in silence. You're no longer defending the old version of yourself. You're building the next one. That mental space allows your subconscious mind to reorganize, to heal, to prioritize. This is when your thoughts start working for you, not against you. You see people for who they really are when you're silent. Something fascinating happens. You start seeing people clearly, not through what they say, but through how they act, not through their words, but their energy. Silence reveals patterns. It exposes manipulation. It uncovers envy, insincerity, or alignment. You become less emotionally tangled and more intuitively aware because you're no longer performing, you're perceiving. You build emotional boundaries without saying a word. Boundaries don't always need to be spoken. Sometimes the most powerful boundary is your absence, your non-reaction, your lack of explanation. You stop replying to drama. You stop entertaining gossip. You stop correcting people who misunderstand you, because now you understand your peace is more important than being understood. Let them assume. Let them guess. Let them talk. You're too focused on building a future that doesn't require defending the past. Silence changes the dynamics. When you stop explaining yourself, people get uncomfortable. They push harder. They provoke. They wonder why you've changed. But deep down, they feel it. You've taken your power back because silence says, I'm no longer performing for your approval. I'm no longer giving you access to what you didn't protect. I've outgrown the need to be heard by those who never really listened. This is when you shift from external validation to internal alignment. Napoleon Hill, the quiet mind, is the most directed Hill, understood this deeply. He taught that a quiet mind is a directed mind. In Think and Grow Rich, he emphasized definiteness of purpose, a laser focus that cannot coexist with emotional chaos and external chatter. Hill didn't just advise silence as a social strategy. He saw it as a mental weapon, a way to build confidence without noise, and to cultivate clarity without interference. Bottom line, when you stay silent, you protect your focus. You conserve your energy. You regain control of your emotions, your time, and your identity. Silence isn't absence. It's elevation. It's not avoidance, it's alignment. It's not retreat, it's realignment with your power. And once you learn to stay quiet for peace instead of speaking for attention, you'll never return to the noise. You used to tell everyone everything. Now you just smile. They ask, what are you working on? You say, something important, but that's all. You're no longer broadcasting your process. Because you've learned mystery is power and privacy is momentum. The most dangerous person is the one you can't read. There's something deeply unsettling and deeply powerful about a person who moves in silence. They don't explain, they don't defend, they don't warn you about what's coming. They just show up evolved. They disappear and return unrecognizable. They let their growth speak louder than their voice ever could. And people notice, they sense the shift. They feel your power, but can't quite locate its source. That's when you stop being predictable and start becoming unforgettable. Let them guess. While you build, when you stop narrating your every move, people begin to fill in the blanks. They say, you've changed. You're acting different. You're being distant. What they're really saying is, I no longer have access to your inner world. I can't control the narrative anymore. I'm uncomfortable with your evolution. Good, because while they wonder, you're working. While they speculate, you're elevating. While they scroll, talk, and compare, you're becoming the person they'll have to reckon with. The brain loves mystery. Use it neurologically. The human brain is wired to seek completion. When someone doesn't know what you're up to, it creates curiosity, a tension loop in their mind. This is why privacy is so powerful. You stay unpredictable. You become the one who's watched, not the one doing all the watching. You flip the dynamic. Let them wonder why you're quiet, why you disappeared, why your energy feels different now. Let them guess, and while they do, stay focused on the only thing that matters. Becoming undeniable. Privacy protects your becoming. Think of your transformation like a seed in soil. If you dig it up too early to show others, it needs growth, needs darkness. It needs silence. It needs protection. That's why the most powerful upgrades in life happen in secret. No announcements, no validation, no applause needed. Just intention plus action plus silence equals results. Napoleon Hill. Let the results talk. Napoleon Hill didn't preach fame or attention. He taught definiteness of purpose and mastery of self. He knew that talking about your goals before achieving them weakens them. Because every time you tell someone what you're about to do, you get a little dopamine hit. It feels like progress, but it's not. That's the trap. You spend your energy talking about what you could become instead of becoming it. Hill's advice was clear. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. Become so focused they can't find you. Eventually, you'll reach a place where you're no longer angry. You're no longer proving anything. You're no longer sharing for approval. You're just building in silence, healing in silence, leveling up in silence, until one day, your results become too loud to ignore. And the same people who once questioned your distance will ask, how did you do it? You'll smile again? Because they weren't meant to see the process, only the outcome. Bottom line, let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them guess. Let them feel the absence of your old patterns. Because privacy isn't about hiding, it's about holding your power close until it's ready to roar. From now on, let your discipline be your announcement. Let your peace be your defense. Let your transformation be your response. No more oversharing. No more explaining. No more narrating your climb. You are becoming someone they won't recognize because you're building where they can't see. Silence isn't weakness. Privacy isn't shame. Withholding your story doesn't mean you're hiding, it means you're protecting your power. In a world that wants to consume every piece of you, your greatest rebellion is to keep some things for yourself. Your next move doesn't need to be announced. Your healing doesn't need validation. Your growth doesn't need applause. You don't owe the world your pain, you owe it your greatness. And that greatness is born in the quiet, in the focus, in the fire you tend when no one is watching. From this moment forward, stop oversharing with people who haven't earned the right to hear your voice. Stop explaining your path to those who aren't walking it. Stop bleeding for people who never planned to help you heal. You're not here to be understood. You're here to become undeniable. So protect your energy, master your silence, and let your results speak louder than your words ever could. If this message stirred something in you, if you're ready to protect your peace, claim your power, and build your future in silence, hit that like button to lock this in.